Going.
Good morning, Griffin.
That was probably because the guy who shared the screen, he didn't share the sound on Google Meet. But this was just a spotlight, guys. When you get a chance, I was watching this. I've been sitting in here. I was waiting for everybody to join, and I was watching this in school. So you guys get a chance, I'm going to pop this in the chat. Go watch this when you get a chance. Definitely great to watch on your off hours, like outside of the 9 to 6. We had a really good week last week. We were able to get, if everyone got several sales each, which is awesome. Quinton is the guy who probably definitely did the best last week in terms of number of sales. I don't know what the total annual premium was for Quinton off the top. I will get that later, but I do know that he had the most sales. His conversion was the highest. And that's another reason why you definitely want to go check out the guy's spotlight. Another thing that would be good to do is to check out like that video on the school channel that I posted regarding Eric. I wouldn't have let that guy say so much if he didn't really know what he was talking about, and he definitely does. And so he definitely shared a lot of wonderful nuggets. It was a long video, so it's definitely something you'd want to watch, at a different time as well as more than once. I did put it in a YouTube format. I'll go ahead and post that down here in the chat as well for you. So that way when you get a chance, you can watch that link. I'll pin it. I'll also pin the school link for Mr. Quinton Harris. Okay. Aside from that, it is Monday. So our goal is to have a fast start Monday. So anyone that's with us, good to see you, Jeremy. Good to see everybody here. That would be 9 a.m. We're getting on there. If anybody is on the team, has questions, you can always email our teams that we have. I would say I want to start with just putting this leadership. I'm going to put this one in the chat. You can tag this email in the chat. I just threw it in there. If you don't know where the chat is, the bottom right-hand corner, just go click on it. Careers, teamlcfg.com. Just hit those guys. Use the guys that we have to help with this kind of stuff like onboarding, contracting, etc. We pretty much have a department for each thing. All right, good. So you can direct all your questions there. And then honestly, it's kind of funny, but if you have any trouble with leads, like, hey, I need some leads, or I need to call, or have an issue with like my dialer, or how do I make calls, or whatever. I've made lots of videos on all that kind of stuff, but you can email the leads at TeamLCFG. You can tag FE Leadership. So those are all in the chat right now. You might have noticed that I pinned them in the chat just now. But anyway, let's see. I wish that Quinton was here. There he is. All right, I see him down there. There's a long list there that I had to go to. Your Q's at the bottom. All right, so Mr. Q, are you in a position where you're able to speak, sir? I should have given you a heads up.
I am.
Okay, good. I didn't give you a heads up. I should have, but that's okay. You're always prepared. So what I wanted to do, because I always like to have winners speak. So people that are, especially when they're winning the most, I want to ask a few questions for the whole team.
Yes, sir.
I used to be on meetings where somebody that had 0 sales on the board was allowed to speak for more than 5 seconds, which is too long. So I don't do that. I always told myself, whenever I have people that we have on a call, we will definitely want to have the best or who did well speak on what they did and how they did it. And so the first question I have for you is, what do you know worked really well for you last week?
What worked for me well last week, I know for a fact, was just being on the dialer worked. And and just actually taking those calls and having that script out. And, on from there, taking that call and just having, you, Jeremy, and Shyler in there to assist on any questions I had. Everything else just take care of itself. You just got to be there. Just hop on the dollar, and, the Cardone trainings help, pivoting from this and that, so that helped.
Definitely.
It's just like
And
a combination of all kind of things that help. I can't really pinpoint it to one thing, but it's like a team effort type thing. So
yeah. Well, certainly we can give some credit to those who answered some questions. We definitely have to give the majority of the credit to the person that showed up. And of course, the biggest 90% of the success is showing up and drilling in, just being available and being there. But then when you're there, then there's obviously a few steps that have to take place. You mentioned getting a little bit of help on it. What was the thing that helped you with most of your sales? If you think back to a couple of sales, what would be something that made it happen? Or did you just get kind of lucky with someone who really needed it, really wanted it?
no, the role play, that's a good question. Yeah, the role playing in the boot camps, like I was able to insert that immediately, and role playing with you guys and just going over this and going over that, and how everyone has techniques on how to employ those types of things that we role play. And so you can see it like it goes hand in hand with the call, like it popped up right after we talked about it. And so it was fresh on my mind, and I was able to employ that tactic, and it worked. So
that's awesome. And then the things that you heard, what would be the most common objection that you did hear that you think the role play helped you with?
I feel like the most common objection I had was somebody just calling in to see, like, I just called to check on it. I just called to see what this was about. Do you have any right now? No, I don't. Who would you be getting this? You just go right back into the script. Oh, I'm sorry, you don't have any, yeah, a lot of people not, thinking about having this. A lot of people come to think about it, but if you were to think about it, who would be the person you'd be giving this funds to? Oh, my daughter. And you just keep going with the script, and they'll just,
there you go.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, a lot of people, it's interesting. I found that a lot of people don't want to admit that they filled the form out. They don't want to admit that I want to get a policy right now that's going to protect my family. Unfortunately, they're just not that direct in most cases. It's a bit of a game, but it's a game to, hey, look, like that's why you always hear me say like the curious thing. I mean, like I know you didn't fill anything out, or I don't even have to repeat that back to them. But hey, I know, I believe you. But do you just remember, wanting to know what your options are? Do you remember being curious? Because I've even had people, they just repeat that. And I was just curious to see. I was just curious to see what my options were. I've heard them repeat it and repeat. I'm like, look, hey, if someone keeps repeating something like that to me, one thing that I've also done, you might have had someone say something to you like 5, 6, 7 times as if you never heard it before, even though I'm saying, okay, I hear you. I totally got it. They'll still repeat it. Like I said, I was just curious to see. It's like, listen, if there's one thing, can we both agree on one thing? They're like, what's that? That you were just curious to see what your options were when you were like, if they keep repeating something to me, because it's like they never really like I'm like, what's going on? Why am I hearing this 7 times in one call? It doesn't happen all the time, but it definitely happens often. So I like to bring it up because I'm like, hey, Johnny, if there's one thing, because he keeps saying, I don't get my benefits till the 3rd. I can't make no payment till the 3rd. It's like, all right. And he says it like 5, 6 times. I'm like, hey, Johnny, yeah. There's one thing. Can we agree on one thing? What's that? That you can't make your payment till the 3rd of next month. He's like, yeah, that's right. That's what I told you. I'm like, I know. I got it, brother. Like, I heard you. So I just wanted to say that because it's something that I noticed that it happens to, like, you'll see it. You'll notice it. Because me saying okay apparently isn't good enough for them to know that I got it. Or me saying I got it isn't good enough either. So I didn't give them a thorough enough acknowledgement, I guess, to make them stop bringing that up. So that's one thing, right? Like, I got to talk to my daughter. That's another thing that we hear. It's like, absolutely, definitely your daughter needs to know what's going on. Is she going to pay for this? No. It's like, then at that point, I know it doesn't make any sense for the fact that you have to talk to your daughter about it. I don't have to say that, of course. I'm just going to say, well, your daughter, have you ever talked to her about this before? No, that's why I got to talk to her. We've never talked. Exactly. Well, we're all parents here on this call, and we know that we're not going to be, hey, what is his name? The little guy that runs around and plays lightsabers with you?
Mateo.
Mateo. Yeah. Hey, Mateo, do you think dad should get some life insurance, Mateo? What do you think, Mateo? Should I get some life insurance? I mean, anybody. Like, you could ask, like, you might as well ask your cat, like, hey, should I get life insurance so if something happens to me, you don't have to go put in a shelter? The cat. I don't want, something bad. I need something to take care of you. That's almost that silly, right? For them to go ask, even though their children now are like 18, 22, 35. It's like, you probably trust your daughter a lot, right? Oh yeah. We talk about everything. I run everything by her. Absolutely. She needs to know you're doing this. Now, does she know that you've been looking? Yeah, she knows I've been looking, but I've told her I would run it by her. Is she going to pay for it? No, I'm going to pay for it, but I just wanted her to know. Absolutely, your daughter should know what's going on, but the only thing she really needs to usually, Mary, what most people mean when they tell me that they want to talk to their kids about this is that they really mean that they just want their kids to know what's going on. They want them to know where the policy is. That way, if something happens, we didn't get a policy for no reason. And they're like, oh, okay, yeah, exactly. So another thing is that you can go to the jve.com/SLS rebuttals. By the way, I just want to point this out because we talked about it earlier. Their team did 316,000 AP last week. Yeah. 316,000 AP in a week.
Crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's see. I just want to see one thing. I know some of that's Gerber, but let's say 316,000. Let's just say that he was getting 7% of that. Well, so they're going to multiply that by 0.75, first of all. And then you got to multiply it by 0.07. And that would be $16,590 that he made this week. If he's getting 7%, which I think it's higher. But in some cases it's higher, some cases it's lower. Anyway, that's a good amount of money to make in a week, right? As an executive. Yeah. So anyway, we're in a pretty good spot. And I wanted to, if anybody has any objections that they want to go over, we can. What we can do, guys, is cover one topic. This is key. I've got everybody here that I want to have here, which is great. Yeah, so the problem earlier was that when you share audio, you can't do it unless you specifically select a tab, which is interesting, right? The way it is on Google Meet. So I apologize about the mishap earlier. This was an interview I did with that guy. So if you guys ever get a chance, go click on the link in the chat below to watch this on your own time. But what this is going to be is Cardone training here. So you guys can log in and you guys have access to this. Okay. All of you can have access to this that are on the team. If you're a visitor, we'll give you access if you decide to be on our team. But this is actually something that I just saw that I think would help everyone immediately. And it's this right here.
Hey, customer service in the
Now, can everybody hear the sound?
Yes.
Thank the Lord. Okay, good. Here we go.
hard sell. I want to talk about what one has to do with the other. A lot of you out there think that you're in the service business and you don't insist on the business. Listen to what I'm telling you. It's been said that you have to ask someone something 5 times just to get them to say yes 1 time. Now, I don't know if that's true or not. Statistically, I'd say it's close, maybe even more like 8 or 12. But I do know that most salespeople, most of you out there, most of you with good hearts, great products, great companies, that provide excellent service, you're honest. You're not asking for the business enough, and that's why you're not getting it. Listen to what I'm telling you. I want you to do better. I know you can do better. You know you can do better. You can't just help people. You have to ask people and then insist on them doing business with you. And I'm going to be sharing with you how to do that right here, okay? Look, most people don't buy because they're uncertain about their ability. It's got nothing to do with you. Your job is to raise certainty and press. It's called the hard sell, okay? It doesn't mean you're mean or tough or trying to trick people. It means you're insistent, professionally insistent, also referred to as a hard sell. Most people won't say yes to you just because you ask them once. Most people will only say yes to you when you keep asking and won't quit. You understand what I just said? Most people aren't going to say yes if you quit, all right? They're not going to say, okay, wait a minute, Grant, I told you I'm not going to buy, but now, since you left me alone now, we're going to buy since you didn't ask again. That's not how it works. It's never happened. 35 years I've been in business. I have never had somebody buy from me because I quit asking them to, ever. Not one time did somebody call me up. Not one time. Hey, we changed our mind. We're going to buy from you because you didn't ask us again. Look, if you quit, you're going to get a no. If you fail to quit, if you refuse to quit, if you never quit, you cannot fail. It's impossible. If you just be insistent upon the sale, sooner or later, the buyer will say yes. Now, the question is, how do you get there without being a knucklehead? It's been my experience that the moment you quit asking, the buyer goes home and the deal dies. Okay, you agree with that? The moment you quit asking, deal's over. They're out of there. They didn't do it. This involves tangible sales, intangibles, charity sales, product sales, you name it. When you quit asking, the deal is over. It has always been my experience that the most people will not just give you money because you asked. They will only give you money when you persist in asking. Okay, I don't mean hard sell. When I say hard sell, I don't mean they're a hard sell, by the way. They're not the one that's hard to sell. You're making the sale hard because you don't hard sell. I'm not talking about pressure either, even though I am willing to pressure someone to do the right thing. If it's the right thing to help someone, I will definitely pressure them to do it, okay? Look, if you have a great product, great service, and you know that it's going to save somebody maybe money, it's going to save them energy, time, it's going to save them resources, it's going to save their company, would you insist? If you knew for sure it was the right thing, would you insist or would you quit calling? If you knew you could help your best friend's son or daughter, would you insist or would you be like, nah, it's none of my business? You could save somebody's life. Would you insist on it or would you keep pushing for it? You got to get sold on your product. Sell or be sold. My first book I ever wrote, Sell or Be Sold. You're either sold or you're sold. You're either doing the selling or you're being sold. I'm willing to be a hard sell because I believe in my product. I believe in my service. I believe in what I'm doing. I believe what I'm doing is worth more than the money or more than whatever objection the seller, the buyer in this case, is having to go through. I'm talking about my willingness to get to that hard place in the close. The hard sale means to get to the hard place in the close where everyone may be experiencing a little bit of discomfort. You know, you feel it, they feel it. Are you pressuring me? No, but I'm willing to. Okay, that's where the attitude thing comes up. See, you can't push because you don't know how to relieve pressure and use your attitude again and keep everything service. That's why I gave you all this service stuff, and now I'm talking about the hard sell, because service precedes the sale and the close. Most salespeople do not want to experience any kind of negative emotion. Most of you don't even want to experience negative emotion from other people. You're not even having the negative emotion. You don't even want to manage their negative experience for the moment. This all, by the way, lies on the backs of a lack of production. Because if you got a lot of production, the more production you have, the more you're willing to experience all this. Because now you're rolling. Things just kind of just like, they don't bother you anymore.
All right. So obviously, the last word there was tremendous, which was this all lies with your production, right? Because if you only have like one sale and you're like, oh man, I got to get this one sale, then I think you guys could agree with me that you're going to run into a situation where you're like, man, I can't, I don't want to mess this up. So I'm not going to lean into the person, right? So a bigger pipeline, right? Coming down to you got to fill your pipeline up, right? And really, I think Quinton, you made several sales. How many people do you think you could call back and sell them?
I know I have one scheduled for Tuesday, and maybe like two. I think probably.
Yeah.
Possibly.
You know, it would be funny. Did they say why Tuesday?
She had to go set up her banking account.
Oh, okay. Cool. Well, good. So that's just, and look, I never count on those ones, but if they happen, they happen. So obviously in the meantime, you're still working, you're still pushing, you're not relying on this one thing to occur and then being reliant on something that really hasn't happened yet, but it's a bit of wishful thinking, but it's not something that I love the mindset of, hey, let's get everything we can and let's do it. And you'll go after it with everything you have. But then of course, not letting that slow you down in the present moment. That's the key. So guys, I got the Zoom chat. So I got this up. I want to transition into role play as quickly as we can now. Everyone here is welcome to join. The passcode to my Zoom is 41. So passcode 11111. So, and then of course the link, the link there is I put it there. Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point that you made, Shyler, in the chat. In some cases, it would be better, if someone keeps repeating something back to you, to just go ahead and repeat it back to them. Let them know, hey, so Johnny, you don't get your, because they, you know what it is that probably causes that, Ben, that we don't necessarily think about in society today. Because just so you know, Ben, if you're listening, and I'm sure you are, is that Chris Voss's book, Never Split the Difference. I have the physical copy as well as the recording, the audiobook. And we've watched videos here together. We've gone over things together, techniques together on these calls. I've even implemented him into my Chat GPT algorithm because I bought his ebook and uploaded the ebook into my Chat GPT that I made for sales. So whenever we talk to that Chat GPT, it gives us some Chris Voss answers. So it's funny that they're looking at that book and it works really well. So like I think because people don't when they get an acknowledgement, it's a brush off. Like Quinton, tell me something like real quick. Anything. What you had for dinner last night?
I had baked chicken.
Yeah.
You asked me what I had for dinner, or you telling me?
But you hear the yeah part.
Oh, got you.
I just was giving you. I was giving you a brush off.
Got you. That's why I asked you that question
I
too.
was like, exactly. See, you
Yeah.
were like whatever, because like you felt like whatever because I didn't even give you a good acknowledgement. Now tell me what you had for dinner one more time.
Oh, I had baked chicken last night.
That sounds delicious, man. I bet you seasoned it right.
Yeah, it was already seasoned. It came from Harris Teeter.
Oh, okay, so it was good, but it wasn't dry, was it?
No, it wasn't. It was good.
Good. There you go. So that that I heard you, like I acknowledged you. There's no doubt about that. Yeah. And so these people probably get these poor acknowledgments all the time from elsewhere. So when I actually give them a good acknowledgement, it's still not enough to make up for all the bad acknowledgments. This is my opinion. I don't necessarily have like a factual database to pull this from, but it's just my experience. So what you're saying, Shyler, really does make sense in the chat. You said, repeat it, Chris Voss, hostage FBI negotiator, like negotiates with terrorists and bank robbers and repeat back, hey, sounds like you want to make sure that you could make that payment on the 3rd because that's when you get your benefits, and you would never have a problem if that's what the company did, right? And then they're probably like, yeah, but sometimes I get my money early and I just need to make sure it's on time. So I always tell everybody the 5th. You're going to have clients try to sell you guys on doing the 4th, the 5th, the 6th, the 7th, but they done got their benefits on the 2nd. So you want to go with American Amicable because they do Social Security billing. And if they get their benefits on a Saturday, the 3rd, they got their benefits, like Eric was saying the other day, if you guys were listening to that, Friday, they get their benefits. MM's going to take that out right when they get their benefits. They time it with the benefits. And the clients don't mind that. If they really want this insurance, that's not going to be an issue. Their fear is that we'll take the money before they get their money, and then there's an overdraft. But you have to eliminate that worry and that fear, because MM's not going to do that. Not one time in 600 apps with MM have I ever had a person call me and say, hey, they took the money when they weren't supposed to. Never. When I did my job right, that did not happen, which 99% of the time with billing, I did. Okay. All right. Wasn't 100% perfect by any means, but we want to be, because otherwise we're going to have a problem with that deal. That's another way you can lose a deal. That's the number 2 way, probably, is charging them when you weren't supposed to. Number 1 is to not ever get their policy to them and not give them assurance about that policy. That's why I'll send a thank you card for you. If you don't have the money to buy postcards, you don't even got to buy a thank you card. You can buy a postcard. That will cost you about $1 a client when it's all said and done, envelope, postcard. But you want to put your business card there. So that's another factor. I bought business cards. I just made them at Office Depot, $10, 50 cards, 50 cards, $10. You can go on Canva and design one, and you can upload the image to Office Depot or Home Depot, whatever it is. Not Home Depot, but Office Max or OfficeDepot.com. I got a Home Depot here. I got an Office Max over here. I'm in Miami, so I got everything. It's just right here. I can walk across the street. I'm at Target, Sprouts, Five Below, anything else, you name it, like right there. So I'm a little spoiled, but it's a blessing and a curse to live in the middle of Miami. That's for sure. All right, guys, it's 8:58. So role play. So I put the thing in the chat. If you guys can join me on Zoom, I'm just going to get our guys to role play for 5 minutes each, and you can hear that, and we will rock. I got 3 people in there. Shyler and Quinton's in there now. You're smart, Quinton. You disconnected from us, so you wouldn't hear me twice. I'll see you guys there. It's in the chat. Check the chat. You'll see the link.